Welcome back. Well, we of course did highlight that big toss where MS Dhoni lost the toss and handed it over to Sangakkara, of course, to bat first. So that's what we're going to listen into now, the captain himself of Sri Lanka speaking at the toss.
Big games, you want to put runs on the board, but as I always say, you can't always control the toss, so, quite happy to field first. Ashish is the one who is injured, so we have got Srishant in place of Ashish. The rest remains unchanged. Well, it's pretty small ground. It's not a very good ground, so if you got off to a good start, you can look to chase anything and everything, but it's a big game, pressure game, so it will be better off to restrict the opposition to as little as possible.
Well, a bit of a confusion there. I was so hoping for Sangakkara to come out and give us his strategies that I said his name out loud. But anyway, so now that you've heard what MS Dhoni has to say, his strategy is going right for him, including Srishant?
Well, he's made the choice. I think he's been there out in the center to see what the wicket really behaves like, and he's in the best position to decide on what he does. You could listen from him saying that he said we could like to restrict them to as little as possible. So certainly both the teams are not sure of what would be a score which would be par for course for this game as such.
All right. Well, we're going to take one last caller on the show. Of course, it is Raghunath, if I'm not wrong, who's calling. Vijay Raghavan, who's calling in right now. Vijay, go ahead with your question.
Good afternoon. Best wishes to our Indian team. And today, the balance between India and Sri Lanka is almost same. Since we lost the toss, we have to do our best in the fielding. We have to save at least 30 to 40 runs and should not miss any single catches. That will help us to win this World Cup. My best wishes to the Indian team. Thank you.
Well, I certainly hope Team India is listening to that piece of advice coming in from Vijay Raghavan. But he has a point in a way that our fielding hasn't been top of the order, quite literally, from the beginning of the World Cup. But they did definitely improve, especially versus the Aussies. Especially towards the boundaries, they were really keeping those off from reaching the boundaries, really. So fielding has improved, would you say, over the course of the tournament?
Certainly, yes. In fact, more than Australia, I thought we really fielded well against Pakistan. A high-pressure game, which was literally dubbed as the final of the World Cup, defending 260, which many thought that was not a score really defendable. I thought we really fielded well against Pakistan. And Dhoni's been making this point very clear in all the press conferences. He said, we can only make an effort to improve our fielding, and you can't look at drastic changes in our fielding. So as such, I think we have seen some improvement in the fielding, and if we can field as well as we did in the semi-final, certainly as the last caller said, we would certainly look at saving 30 runs on the field.
If I may add a point, we have in Srishant another good addition. He's pretty good in the field, and so people like Suresh Raina have really raised the bar for the Indian team. So I think you can hope for a very good fielding display today, especially because the occasion demands it.
All right, so it's a pressure situation. India definitely, as they went into the semi-final, they definitely did move up the game, of course, for themselves and improved on their fielding, which was their one negative factor going into this tournament. Now, time to dissect the bowling department of both the squads. Here are the facts and figures. On the bowling front, Zahir Khan's 19 wickets as the second highest wicket taker of this tournament and UV's surprising 13-wicket haul have led the way for India. However, as for the Sri Lankans, Muthiah Muralitharan has still managed to pick 15 of those very unlucky batsmen despite the many niggles that he's had to face. And Lasith Malinga taking out 11 have provided Sri Lanka the breakthroughs when they needed it. In addition to those numbers is Tilakaratne Dilshan's all-rounding capabilities averaging 14.14 as a bowler in the last few matches. Where Sri Lanka seem to have a distinctive edge is in the economy of their bowling figures. Ajantha Mendis at 3.14, Dilshan at 3.80, Muralitharan at 4 and Rangana Herath at 4.27. Harbhajan with an economy of 4.41 heads the list for India but is at a lowly 36th ranked place. Now with Angelo Matthews being ruled out of the World Cup for Sri Lanka, with Suraj Randeep coming in as his cover, Sri Lanka seriously have a hole in its side with an all-rounder completely missing. And if Muralitharan's ongoing niggles hassle him too much, Chaminda Vaas replacing him would be quite an entertaining watch, considering he hasn't played international cricket in 3 whole years. In Chennai, Natasha for NDTV Hindu. Well, speaking of the bowling department, of course, now one of the viewers sent in an email and requested that I put it across to our experts, so I'm going to do so. This one special request, of course. Now, in terms of keeping Harbhajan Singh, he wants to know whether Dhoni is sort of supporting Harbhajan Singh, considering he's been in the side for so long, that he doesn't want to include R. Ashwin because he'll threaten his position. What would you have to say to that, Srinath?
Certainly, it's a very interesting question, but as far as favoritism or, being with a particular player for a longer time is not going to make that sort of a difference in the biggest stage. I don't think Dhoni would look into such a factor, saying he would like to want to protect Harbhajan Singh's place. And mind you, Harbhajan Singh has got 250 wickets in one day years. He's got close to 400 wickets in Test match cricket. Nobody can prove, nobody can try to say that he's not been a performer. But one thing is, the wickets have not come his way in this World Cup. But he's been, at his best, he's been economical. So certainly, my dear friend who sent his email, don't have any inhibitions in your mind saying that it's favoritism and friendship over Harbhajan that is making Ashwin sit out. Certainly not.
I highly doubt MS Dhoni would take such a risk in terms of favouring friendship and supporting a long-time bowler who's been in the squad over tactical measures really to take on the final of the World Cup. But we're slipping into a short break on that note, of course. More will come up on the other side.